We're thrilled to have you here today because it's not often we get a chance to have conversations with accomplished deaf professionals such as yourself. And we're excited to learn about your journey today and give others the chance to learn from your experience. So welcome, Howie.
Sure. Well, thank you.
I've interviewed previous alumni from the Deaf Youth Drama Program, and they really credited you and Billy Seago for this particular program. Can you tell us about the program and why it was so significant at that time?
Well, my wife, Lori, through her work, found a request for proposals, an RFP, for something regarding arts and the handicapped out in Washington, D.C. And she showed it to me, and I thought we might be able to ask for money. So we went ahead and did that, and we could start something. And I thought perhaps the Seattle Children's Theater, I had done a play there recently. And so I asked them if they were interested, and then we did some writing and figured it out and sent in our proposal. And we were so surprised to receive money. I think it was maybe $200,000, $300,000. I can't remember exactly how much. So we went and got things started, and I got my brother Billy to be involved, and we got things going. And the reason that is so important, well, really there's two reasons. First is exposure to deaf adults as role models for young deaf children. You know, most deaf children are out there in mainstream programs, so they don't ever see a lot of deaf adults who work with children. So I really wanted to expose them to deaf adults, as well as I wanted to give them an opportunity to express themselves, to act like someone else rather than themselves, to help them really expand their horizons, to think outside of themselves rather than just being self-absorbed, and let them think of being someone else, to give them a new perspective on life, all that kind of thing. And in addition, it was a lot of fun as well. I mean, we laughed, we played, the kids had a great time, and they needed to have laughter in their lives.
Yeah. When was it founded and how long did it last?
I would say it was from 92 until, 15 or 16 years ago. That's when it stopped. So we had about a 13-year run as a program.
I can definitely see the results in the alumni who graduated from the program, either from the year-round or the summer cohorts. It was a jumping off point for many to thrive in their future endeavors. And they've told me that they've learned many valuable skills and resources and connected with their peers, creating a space for young deaf artists to spark a love for theater that many continue to pursue into adulthood. It's just amazing. And what a neat experience to listen to their stories. I hope that program will reboot someday.
Oh, I hope so.
Do you think that there are enough opportunities for deaf talent to pursue acting, directing, etc. in the past 10 years?
You know, there will never be enough opportunity. We need as much opportunity as possible. The whole concept of there being enough opportunity is just impossible. I think that hearing people would say the same thing. There's never enough opportunities. I am happy to see more and more opportunities arising nowadays. I mean, frankly, I'm amazed when I look back 40 years ago. It's so different now than it was then. There's just opportunities everywhere, and so many young, new faces with unbelievable talent. It's really inspiring, really. I'm so happy to see that happen. And I'd like to see more and more opportunities in the future. Something that's critical is that we need to have some deaf authors, some playwrights. Hollywood has no idea how to tell our story, and they never have known how for all these years. We need to be able to tell our own story. Luckily, there more and more deaf authors are starting to appear, and that's terrific. And really, Patty, you helped a lot with that, with the deaf playwriting workshops that you hold periodically.
You know, and again, COVID-19 is impacting everyone. And I'd like to ask deaf creatives what ideas you have and how we can continue to support and provide opportunity by maybe use of other people's talents or working together to show audiences that deaf people can create productions successfully. So how was your first time experience on Zoom?
Yeah. Well, we just see what kind of costumes we have and what we could put together. I did have a judge's wig that I happened to have from a play that I had been in a while ago. It was really fun to do that kind of thing.
Do you have a dream role that you like to play, either on stage, film, or TV?
Well, for on film or TV, I can't think of any particular roles, but I would like to have it be a good solid role. Something that could really portray a deaf character well, not some kind of sad, pathetic story, not a victim like that. Um, for the stage, I've thought about what is the name of that character? The play Fiddler on the Roof. Uh, Tevye, the lead in the show. He's the elder father figure with the big beard, and I mean, I would be able to keep my beard for that role.
Did you always know that you'd become an actor?
No, I didn't. I was going to be a school psychologist or a school counselor because I remember growing up. For some reason, maybe because of my speech skills or something like that, I thought I could get along with hearing people. And I saw some of my classmates struggle greatly and have a lot of difficult feelings about that. So I wanted to work with them to let them know that it was okay to be deaf and to work things out. And then I ended up being an actor, believe it or not. But really, acting has a lot of psychological aspects to it, helping children uh, to escape the difficult home lives or enter into a fantasy world, to help make them see things in a more positive way. My first experience with theater, I'd have to say, was my mother she directed church plays, Bible stories, that kind of thing. And I was cast in the role there. And I didn't have a speaking part. I mean, I did have some lines, but my mother gave the lines to one of the hearing kids who would say my lines for me. But I acted it out. And I didn't sign then because signing was not permitted back then. But I acted out and as the person told the story. So the narrator told the story and I acted out my part. And afterwards, people come up to me and said, "Why, that was quite good." But I still hadn't thought of becoming a professional actor. I just thought, "Oh, hey, this is cool." I really got the acting bug when I was in college. I had a roommate, Ted Sapala at CSUN, and he said to me, "Hey, Howie, you should be in the play. You should sign in the play." And I said, "No, look, I can't really sign very well. I'm just an oral kid." And he said, "It's okay. We'll translate for you. You just have to repeat the same lines that we teach you. Sign the same things. You're not going to have to come up with any signs on your own. We'll practice that. So you'll be pre programmed to just do the same thing every night for the play." And I said, "Okay, why not?" And that was when I really got into theater. And after the show, people will come up to me and sign real fast. And I have to say, "Excuse me, would you slow down? Will you sign that again?" And they couldn't believe that I was the same character they had just seen on stage, signing eloquently for the past 2 hours. That was my character. The real me was not a very good signer. So, and then that's funny. I really have to thank Ted for putting me where I am today.
How long did it take for you to feel more confident with your signing?
Maybe someone at CSUN got in touch with me. Well, I applied to get into summer school in 1977 with folks like Ella Mae Lenz. She was there at the same time. She was terrific. There were a couple other people there. It was at NTD Summer School, National Theater for the Deaf. And I remember that I was a little bit annoyed because I really wanted to see actual ASL. And at that time, they signed very kind of artistically, and I really couldn't understand what they were saying. And I said to my classmates, "What are they talking about?" "I don't know," they said. It was sort of like artsy fartsy sign language. And if someone was sort of say they were going to die, they would say, "I died." Or there was other kinds of signs that were just hard to understand. So that that summer school experience was okay. I mean, it was really a wonderful experience, the actual acting part, and it was a beautiful location, Long Island Sound. There was swans and loons, and it was just beautiful. It was a very romantic place to be, and I'm sad that that's gone now. Anyway, so when I went back to school, I finished up. I was working at Rainbow's End in San Francisco and doing this and that, and then Bernard Bragg showed up out of somewhere. I think in Berkeley, probably in Berkeley. So there he was. Bernard Bragg was there, and I didn't know what I was going to do next. So I asked him, "Excuse me, do you think it's worthwhile for me to try out for NTD?" And it's a stupid question. Is it worth it? Of course it's worth it, but I didn't really know. I didn't know what to say to the Bernard Bragg. Anyway, he said, "Really? Are you interested? Are you really interested?" Well, I'm just asking. Do you think it's worth it? And he said, "We do need a big actor with light hair like you." Now, see, my wife was out of town at some workshop for a couple of weeks, and we hadn't even talked about it yet. And I was kind of in an awkward position there. And he went and told the artistic director. He said, Howie's here and he's interested. And then the next day, got a contact from them, and and away we went. I mean, I hadn't even really talked about it with my wife yet, and here I was in negotiations with them, and back then we didn't have any video phones, no way to text each other. There was no relay. We did have TTYs, but she was away at her workshop. She didn't have a TTY with her, and I asked my mother to interpret for me. Can you imagine that? There's my mother. Now, she didn't know sign language. She's like, "Howie wants me to tell you this and that." Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, so the decision was made that I would go ahead and join up, and that absolutely changed my life. I was with them for 2 years with other deaf professional actors, and that led to other work in the play Ajax, which started there. And Peter Sellers was the director of Ajax at that theater. He was a very famous yet controversial director in the opera world. So he had directed me in some short scenes at NTD, and he liked my work. And then 5 years later, he invited me to participate in the production of Ajax. Unbelievable.
I think audiences have a hard time believing that deaf actors can succeed on stage, and here you are, living proof.
I do remember after I was at NTD for 2 years, I'd had enough time by then, and also my wife Lori had moved to Hawaii to get her master's degree in English as a second language, and I missed her, and I decided 2 years would be enough. So my wife encouraged me to audition for a hearing theater company there in Hawaii. And I thought, a hearing theater company? I thought, let's see. So with her gentle shove, I went to a meeting and went in for the audition. And it's funny, the other day on Facebook, I just saw that the woman who was the artistic director at that theater, her mind was really blown. She looked back and said that was one of the best decisions she ever made, to hire me to work in that company. We did 4 shows that year. It was a repertory theater company. Well, not exactly, but anyway, there was a group of us and we did 4 shows. And that was my first exposure to being in a hearing theater, basically a mainstream setting. That was 1983. Yes, the 83-84, that year.
What was the name of the company?
Oh, it was the Honolulu Theater for Youth. What did I play? Oh, we did Beauty and the Beast, and I played the Beast. I was in full latex mask, zipped up in the back. It was so hot, I can't even tell you. Oh my gosh, it was so sweaty. I also wore latex gloves that were covered with fur, when I gestured out my part. I did sign, yes, as I recall, I did sign my lines. And then at the end, the audience had no idea that I was deaf. I mean, I spoke. They didn't know that the voice didn't come from me. And after the show, they always had a question and answer period for the audience. And I had an interpreter there with me interpreting. And someone said, "Why are they signing to you, Howie?" And I said, "It's because I'm deaf." And they said, "What?" They had no idea that I was deaf.
That's some serious acting talent.
Well, I mean, imagine their surprise and imagine the surprise of deaf children who saw the show. So it was yet another one of my wife's brilliant ideas. And she has always been 100% supportive. Anytime there's any opportunity that comes up, she is behind me 100%. Even though I have to sacrifice time with my family, she's all for it.
Speaking of your wife, Howie Seago, in 2019, you were recognized as our Deaf Spotlight Gala Artist of the Year. And at that event, you brought your wife on stage with you, basically dedicating the award to her because she has always been there for you, your constant cheerleader, supporting you as you accomplish your dreams in your career.
Right.
So shout out to Lori.
Yes,
And I wanted to ask a follow-up on OSF. People may not realize that you were the first deaf actor in OSF as a bona fide member of the company for many years. How did that happen?
Now that is another no situation. Bill Rausch, who was the artistic director there, he was the assistant director for Ajax. Yet another connection. I'm telling you, that production of Ajax just sent out waves and waves of connection. I'm so blessed I've had that opportunity. Anyway, so he was the assistant director, and I knew him. He knew my work a little bit. He has a deaf brother, Bill does. And I hadn't heard from him for a while. And Bill wanted me to join OSF, and I said, "Look, I can't afford to do this. This is not something I can do." Bill said, "I understand that." He said, "My door is always open for you, Howie. If you feel like it's time for a change, you change your mind, come on down." And then there was another play in New York. I feel like I'm name dropping again. Philip Seymour Hoffman contacted me. His best friend actually contacted me. Another connection from Ajax, believe it or not. So that actor was in Ajax with me, and he said to Philip Seymour Hoffman, "I've got this guy who'd be great as an Irish grandfather, a mean drunk guy, would be good in your play." And he contacted me, and it was sort of the same thing. I feel like I couldn't afford to give up what I was doing. I had a good paying job at the time. So I said, "No, thank you." And they said, "Okay." And they looked and couldn't find anybody within 6 months. They had auditioned 6 deaf actors before they came back to me again. And it felt like it must be fate. I mean, the fact that Philip Seymour Hoffman contacted me twice, how could I possibly say no? So I said, okay. They sent me the script, and I read it. It was a rough cut of the script. And my wife said, "Go ahead and go, Howie." So I went to New York. And I have to tell you, word travels fast. Bill heard that I had taken the job in New York City for less money and less number of weeks than he had offered at OSF. He'd offered me a full-time job there with benefits and ongoing work. And I said, "Oh, okay, I was going to get in touch with you, but he got in touch with me first." And so I basically ended up quitting my job and then went from New York and then to OSF. He said, "Get your ass over here." So I did. So actually, once I was done with the play in New York, I worked for OSF for 7 years.
And how did you know that you wanted to try directing? You'd done acting. What made you take the leap into directing?
Well, really, there was no other directors back then, no deaf directors. I wanted to do theater, so I had to direct myself. Well, most of what I did was the Deaf Moose Theater. We signed it like this, Deaf Moose Theater. I did some directing there. We had a traveling show.
In your 7 years at OSF, what was your favorite role?
Well, there was my character in To Kill a Mockingbird, but I think my favorite one was what was the name of the show? Henry V, the Shakespeare play. I was a bodyguard, basically bodyguard, hitman, enforcer for the king.
That reemphasizes the importance of knowing the context of the script, of the time period, and the mindset in which the story is set. For example, take Ajax. It's set in ancient Greece and it's the story of a warrior. So, understanding that the play was written in ancient times and the attitudes, the perceptions of that era really influence the translation process. And I'm also interested to know how you incorporate your deaf identity, culture, and language in your translations. I'm sure there's many opportunities to play and experiment. How cool.
In To Kill a Mockingbird, we decided that the deaf character's background was he was basically from a white trash family, so to speak. It was a multi generational family of outcasts in that town. We talked about what his educational background would be. And why would he know sign language? I mean, he lived out in the woods. How would he know? How had he grown up? Had he gestured? Or we thought about all those things. And we did find out that perhaps he had gone to one particular deaf school for a year where he had learned a few signs. If he'd only gone to school for a year, then we would have to think about how much sign did he actually know. Perhaps he used mostly homemade signs, like signing house like this. Rather than the standard way, he'd sign it slightly differently. So it wasn't exactly standard ASL. And a good friend of mine came who's a linguist, and they could not believe that how we had translated that for that role. And there I had my daughter who was interpreting for me in court. We threw in all kinds of different cultural aspects. And anything we do now, I feel like will have a ripple effect. Even now, with Zoom and different people seeing deaf actors in Zoom, the hearing community is realizing there are a lot of talented actors out there. Please let them audition for you.
You recently co-directed with Teresa Thuman of Sound Theater Company on the production ASL Midsummer Night's Dream. It was unique because it was a bilingual production in ASL and English, featuring a cast of local deaf and hearing talent. And your play was nominated for and won the People's Choice Award for Outstanding Production Play from the Gregory Awards. What are the challenges of co-directing a bilingual production? And if someone wants to produce a bilingual production, what should they prepare for?
The most important thing is the hearing co-director has to not bring a lot of ego with them. They have to respect deaf culture and ASL, and the coach, really the director, needs to really work with them. And I mean, it almost has to be a slightly unequal relationship with the deaf director slightly above the hearing co-director.
People may not realize that at that same awards show we just mentioned, the Gregory Awards, you and your brother Billy Seago were recognized for your unique contributions as educators and advocates for and of the deaf theater community. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
The title of the award is Gregory A. Falls Sustained Achievement Award. A wordy yet worthy title. How did that feel to have your peers recognize you?
Absolutely. That was a big surprise. I had no idea that that was going to happen. I, the word sustained success means a lot to me. It means that it wasn't just a one time thing. Uh, we have worked to sustain something for many years, and it will have a lot of long term impact out there. That's from the Deaf Youth Drama Program. I mean, some of our students are still out there working as actors, believe it or not. It really meant a lot to me for the hearing theater community in Seattle to recognize that. I mean, that meant a lot, really. I was very touched.
I forgot to mention, we've discussed your accomplishments on stage and on film, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your TV career, where you were the first deaf person on Star Trek. How did that opportunity come about?
Well, one night, Lori was watching TV, Star Trek, and there was no captions. So I would look over once in a while, and I was reading the paper. And while I was reading the paper, Lori gave me a jab with her elbow, and I said, "What's going on?" She said, "You should be on Star Trek. You could make up some kind of character, be creative about how you would communicate and sign." I thought, okay, great. So I got in touch with my agent, and my agent said, "Fine, why don't you come down? Bring an interpreter with you." So there I was in this cigar smoke filled room, two big executives sitting there. It was very much like I felt like I was in a Hollywood producer's office. Anyway, so I gave them this script, and they looked it over, asked me a couple of questions. Now I don't remember what they asked. And they said, "All right, thanks. Thanks for your time." I was devastated. I thought, nothing's going to come of that. I had did not make any kind of impression on them, whatever. And then a few months later, I was in Europe traveling with another show, and my agent called through my interpreter, and they said, "Star Trek wants you. So go ahead and fax them a script." So my character was Dana. Captain Picard ordered Dana to find a speech and language development program in the computer to teach me how to talk overnight. In one night, I would learn to speak as fluently as a hearing person. That did not sit well with me. That's where my deaf culture alarms went off. I said, I can't do that. And I knew that if I had done that, many hearing parents and doctors would look and say, "Look at this. Howie Seago learned to talk overnight. Why can't you?" So I thought, I am not doing this. So, well, maybe I'll lose out on that role, I thought, this rare opportunity, but I just could not live with myself. I couldn't take the guilt of having done that. So they said, "You lucky bastard, I understand your point. We'll work with you to modify the script." I couldn't believe it. Imagine that. A Hollywood director or producer saying that. I tell you that Star Trek was so respectful of people and creativity. I did, in fact, meet Gene Roddenberry one time. That's why deaf actors nowadays have to be so creative in their approach to Hollywood. If you want to succeed in Hollywood, you really have to, live in Los Angeles or live in New York. And I just was not interested in raising my family there. But I wanted to continue to do my work here from Seattle. So I was willing to go and meet folks and do some networking, but
I think it's just amazing that you broke through on TV. Deaf viewers saw a deaf actor on TV for the first time. How incredible is that? And you know, that episode influenced a friend of mine to become an interpreter. Yeah, they told me the story of how it all started with Star Trek for them. Because at that time, they were learning sign and said that they could totally understand you on the TV, and that made them want to become an interpreter. So funny. Right now, COVID-19 is impacting everyone, everywhere, especially the arts. Many theaters, small businesses, and arts organizations are suffering. Many companies have closed, and many have lost their jobs. I wonder, how can we support the arts and artists like you?
Huh. Visual artists uh, are supported by people buying their work. They can shop from the website or make donations or whatever. Actors, on the other hand, you can make donations to theater companies who've hired deaf actors in the past, like ACT, Seattle Children's Theater, Sound, especially Sound Theater. You can make donations to them. I have written letters thanking people, well, letters appreciating the support for deaf shows in the past. And also, of course, you can donate to Deaf Spotlight because Deaf Spotlight provides so many opportunities for deaf artists, be they actors, photographers, visual artists, everyone's included. It's a wonderful place to make a donation.
Thank you for sharing your advice, thoughts, and stories of your incredibly rich journey. I look forward to seeing future developments in your work. And again, reminding our viewers to follow the theaters Howie called out, ACT, Sound Theater Company, and Deaf Spotlight to keep tabs on our projects and to support deaf talent. So that's it for the interview. At this point, I like to end these interviews with some fun, light wrap-up questions, like inside the Actors Studio's Proust questionnaire. What's your favorite sign?
I would have to say all of ASL. ASL is so important in my life, my mental health, and everything.
Least favorite sign?
I hate nasty, this sign.
What's your deaf bing?
For me, it would be when somebody waves to call you and then they don't look at you. You have to go over and get them.
What talent would you like to have?
It would be an opera singer.
What word or emotion would you want people to remember you by?
I would have to say passion. I would like to be called a trailblazer because I set up so many new programs for deaf children. My passion for deaf children.
Well, thank you for joining us on this interview. It has been a pleasure.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it, and I was honored.